Welcome to Black Woman Leading the podcast. I'm Laura Knights, your host and the founder of BlackWomanLeading.com. Today we're talking about activating joy with Dr. Pamela Larde. If you've been feeling the heaviness with the state of the world and things that may be going on in your own life, and you're grasping for more hope, more joy, more encouragement in these very difficult times, then you need to keep listening. Let's get into it.
Black woman leading. Black woman leading.
This podcast amplifies the needs and experiences of Black women leaders in the workplace with a holistic focus on three core areas: leadership development, mental wellness, and relationship management. Our ultimate aim is to help Black women learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity.
Hey y'all, before we jump into this episode, I wanted to let you know that registration is now open for the January 2026 cohorts of both our early career and mid-career leadership development programs. No matter where you are on your career journey, our programs are designed to support your holistic development, wellness, and career growth. Our mid-career program is designed for mid and senior level leaders, and it focuses on developing a customized career strategy in this season of your career. Our early career program is a training program, and it's designed to strengthen the foundational leadership competencies really needed to grow into leadership roles. And of course, both programs will center your mental wellness and self-care and also provide a culturally relevant lens for you to do your personal and professional development work as a Black woman. Now, both programs include a ticket to our annual Black Woman Leading Live conference and retreat. It's taking place May 11th through the 14th, 2026 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, speaking of Black Woman Leading Live, it is the premier leadership development conference to help Black women professionals learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity. And honey, let me tell you, we have a time there. Activities include workshops, panels, wellness breaks, laser coaching, networking, action planning, and all of this in community with other brilliant Black women from across the country. Okay, in our 2026 event, we're going to be focusing on being future ready leaders. So if you want to explore registering for one of our programs, our cohort programs, or if you just want to register for the conference, either thing, you can see the links in the show notes or visit our website at www.blackwomanleading.com to get all the details.
Black woman leading. Keep on healing. Woman leading.
Today we're talking about activating joy with Dr. Pamela Larde. Welcome, Dr. Pamela.
Thank you.
So happy to have you. I'm excited to jump into this topic, of course, given our season 8 theme of leaning into joy. But first, let me give you the official about Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela Larde is an award-winning professor, author, speaker, and founder of the Academy of Creative Coaching. With over 2 decades of experience in leadership development, coaching education, and social impact work, she is a leading voice in the study and practice of joy, well-being, and culturally responsive leadership. As a professor of doctoral leadership studies and director of education for the Institute of Coaching, Dr. Pamela blends research, storytelling, and soul-centered strategies to help individuals and organizations thrive. Her work centers on helping people transform their lives through her epic joy model, her multidimensional framework of joy, and a deep commitment to human wholeness and liberation. And so, of course, leaning into joy, we got to bring a joy expert in the building. But why did I want to talk about this topic, right? Our season 8 theme, I just felt like in this season of what is happening in the world,
Yes.
right, that it can be so easy to be overcome with the media, with, just every turn is something new, not even every day, every minute is something different.
Yes.
And joy can feel fleeting, right? Or we can obsess around the things that are not happening. So I thought centering this whole season around leaning into joy, we definitely wanted to bring some real research to it, because people think about joy as kind of like oh, maybe this little,
Yeah.
but there's like documented. We have the researcher here, okay?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to talk about this, and I think it's so timely. So before we jump into this topic, I always start by asking our guests who we view as kind of role models and possibility models for our community. When you hear the phrase Black woman leading, what does that mean to you? And I've shared a little bit about your bio, but if you could share in your own words a little bit about your journey as a Black woman leading.
Yeah. Well, when you kind of, as you started asking this question, I thought of prototypes of Black women leading, and comes to mind is, of course, Michelle Obama. We have Kamala Harris, but we have so many Black women that are in media and taking risks and putting themselves out there to speak about what's going on, and so there's so many that I follow, that I admire, and just kind of in my own space, how can I make the kind of difference that they're making? So for me, it has been rooted in my own journey in trying to navigate the corporate world, which was the first, where I landed first. And then from there, learning if I can create my own corporate world, which I eventually ended up doing, creating my own business, what can I glean from this experience to bring into that world, which for me has been prioritizing my role as a parent. And for others who maybe aren't parents, whatever priorities they have, allowing them to be the whole of who they are, just to be fully the human that you are. And so I create workplaces, a workspace that allows people to be the human being that they are, as opposed to them having to fit themselves into the mold of a corporate workspace. So that has really defined the way that I've approached all of my work, whether it is research or as a professor or as a business owner, is really allowing sort of cherishing the dignity of each individual that I come across.
And, as you're saying it, I'm getting a little bit of goosebumps because it should be the standard.
Right?
Like it shouldn't be special, but it is special, right? When we think about experiences that people are having, and we think about experiences that Black women may be having in particular in workplaces in corporate America.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I got to get into this joy research. So I don't know if you know this. We may have connected on LinkedIn, I don't know, maybe about a year or two ago.
Okay.
And I saw a post you made. I followed you. I don't think we had a lot of kind of talk, but I followed you, and I always had this topic for the season in my head. So I followed you. You were talking about your research or something of that sort, and I said, oh, a joy researcher. When we get to that season, we need her. And it was maybe like a year ago.
Wow.
So you were on my list.
You never know when you're planting seeds.
And you never know who's watching, right? The good you're doing in the world. And so excited that you said, yes, I want to come and talk about this.
Yes.
But I would love for you to share a little bit about what you have found, right, in researching joy and this multidimensional framework that you've come up with. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can start at the end with what I've really learned about joy through this journey. And it's funny because I just did a LinkedIn post, or really across all my socials about it, for really empowering facts about joy. And I don't know why I did that to myself, because I may not remember all four, but I will tell you the ones that come to mind.
We'll go look at the post.
Go look at the post. But one that comes to mind is that joy is contagious, and so what we are experiencing, it does go through at least 2 degrees of influence, with the people that, so the joy that I'm feeling right now may hit you in a way that you in turn, experience that joy for somebody else. So that's one of them. Another one is that joy is resistance. It can be a form of resistance. And so when we see things that are going on, like, for example, in Portland, where there's this force to try to I'll just be broad about it, but just jeopardize people's rights as citizens. The response is literally joyful. People are doing the cha-cha slide. There are videos of, in front of the officers. They're doing they're handing flowers to the officers.
Wow.
They are refusing to sort of stoop to the level of the violence that they've seen, and they are fighting back with joy.
Wow.
It is the most amazing thing I think I've seen.
Wow.
So those are two. I'm not gonna, but when I get to sort of the foundational work, the multidimensional framework of joy is rooted in well-being, and I really looked through. I did my own research. I've been doing research in the area of well-being for probably about 17 years.
Okay.
But the joy piece really comes from digging into the academic research in theology, neurological, looking at the brain and what's happening with joy there, looking at social sciences, leadership, positive psychology, and across the board, what I found is well-being is really foundational. And that joy that is rooted in well-being is going to be more progressive in that it will grow, that it helps advance our well-being, and so forth. But there is a continuum. So people who are not experiencing well-being can practice what I call perceived joy, and that behavior leads to regressive joy behaviors, meaning it tears down the joy of others. It diminishes the joy that the authentic joy that might exist in you, and it becomes a perceived joy where you find joy in other people's pain, or you elevate yourself and at the expense of other people having to be brought down. And we see this. We are seeing this in leadership, across the country, in the world, and so that is rooted in a lack of well-being.
Wow.
And so what happens with the multidimensional framework of joy, once well-being is sort of established, or we understand what that state of well-being is like, it then informs the communities that we build. It then also informs the strength and the health of the communities that we're building. So that's one piece. And then the other piece that well-being influences is how we practice our joy. So we may practice joy in ways that nurture that well-being. But if well-being isn't good, we're going to practice joy in ways that tear ourselves and other people down. The final piece, and so I'm picturing sort of a diamond here. We have well-being at the top. We have communities here. We have joy practices here. And then as we come here to the bottom of the diamond, that's liberation. That's change. And so when we have these first three elements intact, we are well positioned to engage in liberation, in revolutionary acts of change. And again, depending on where that well-being started, really depends on what kinds of changes we're making. So if we sort of follow some toxic leadership patterns and look at how they've built community and how they have practiced joy, which again I call perceived joy. What kinds of changes are sort of manifest as a result of that behavior? Exactly.
Yeah, destructive.
Exactly.
So well-being is really the foundation.
Yes.
How are we defining well-being, just for people listening so they understand what that means?
No, that's great. And this well-being definition comes from the positive psychology world. And it's really the extent to which we are experiencing more flourishing in our lives. We're doing well. We're kind of flowing as opposed to languishing. So well-being sort of is determined by where we are on that curriculum. Curriculum, on that continuum. So
always a teacher, always a teacher.
So if we are experiencing more languishing than flourishing, then we are not in really experiencing well-being at its best even. So.
And is there even a point there? Because if I think about the spectrum, I think of languishing. Is the surviving in the middle? Like just you're not quite languishing, but you're not quite thriving either.
Right. And I call that the baseline. I actually have sort of a scale that I use with clients, and I say, so let's talk about where you are here. And it's not that, they have to take a test and then they get results. It's more like it's visual. So it's, up here is flourishing and below is languishing, and we have baseline here. You're there. You're there.
And I mean, I think that's incredibly resilient depending on where you're coming from.
Depending on where you're coming from. And so it's contextual, and that's why I let the client point to where they are.
I see.
And talk about when you are not at baseline, you feel below that. Describe what that feels like for you. Where were you last week?
Wow.
Where do you want to be? And so it's just a visual way for them to identify, because like you said, it is contextual. It can be very different for...
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. This is really rich. How are we, and I'm in the definitions a little bit because I just want I feel like people can be dismissive about these type of things sometimes because they're ignorant about the depth. Like even with you talking about resistance and liberation, many people may not equate that when they hear joy.
Yeah, right.
So how are we defining joy? Is it the same as like happiness? Are those different?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the American Psychological Association has a definition that, and part of it is an exhilaration of the spirit.
Okay.
And to that, I add that can occur through positive and negative experiences. Because what I've found in both the reading around different academic disciplines and my own research and interviews with participants is that it's not necessarily about what's going on in their lives that determines whether or not they have joy. But what it does do is determine the extent to which they turn up the joy or they operationalize or, activate, that joy. Because at that point it becomes an intentional practice. Wow. So joy is sort of that experience of exhilaration, and I translate exhilaration in part to energy. It's you're energized and you have something that's sort of going through you that allows you to keep pushing through.
A desire to kind of keep going.
The motivation and self-determination theory has been a large part of my work because there is a strong element of motivation that's connected to joy as well.
You see, my little social worker heart is just jumping. I mean, these are the things I geek out on. This is so good. When we spoke, you referenced some research insights you learned about of how people reclaim joy after, it's been taken maybe by life circumstances or things of the sort. Right. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think that could really be affirming for people that's listening.
Absolutely. I mean, when we look at even just what's been going on in 2025, there are a lot of ways, and we're experiencing what I've heard called sort of a collective professional trauma.
Yep.
And so when things like that happen, or we have personal losses, and I've had to sort of reclaim joy sort of after any kind of relationship break, whether it's a friendship, a professional relationship that let me down, a romantic relationship. I have definitely sort of found myself spiraling like, oh God, and so I've had to be very intentional about reclaiming my joy. And for me, that has involved who are my people, bring them close. Community is such a huge part of joy. Yes. But then those joy practices for me, and this isn't for everybody, but I'll jump on a plane.
Same.
Hi, Costa Rica,
Same.
So for me, I have to find out what is going to replenish me.
Yeah.
And so for me, sometimes it's doing something solo. It's solo trips. Other people, the thought of doing something solo is traumatizing.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out what that is for you, and nurture yourself, nurture the heck out of yourself during that time. And that's where I think the difference between happiness and joy comes in, because it's going to be really hard to find happiness when you're in the middle of heartbreak.
Yeah.
And happiness is, by definition, a response to the stimuli that
it's reactive.
That's going on in your world. And so it is reactive. It is it grows out of your life circumstances, whereas joy grows out of your, it grows out of your heart condition. Your life condition. Let me say that right. So happiness grows out of your life condition, and joy grows out of your heart condition.
Oh, wait a minute. Say that one more time. I just got a little. That thing will get a collection plate. Wait, say it one more time, Dr. Pamela.
So happiness grows out of your life condition.
Okay.
What's going on in your life? How are you feeling? But joy grows out of your heart condition.
Wow.
So it's deeply embedded, and you get to pull from that. No matter what's going on, no matter what your life conditions are like, you get to pull from the heart. And that is what, that's where the joy, comes from.
Even in the midst of a tough situation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's like the old church folks used to sing, this joy that I have, right?
The
world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. Right?
And that's why well-being is so important, because well-being lives in you.
Yes.
Your heart lives in you.
Yes.
And those are the things that protect you from those outside, circumstances.
Well, I hope if y'all are listening, I hope you're picking up what she's putting down here, because this is really life-giving. Okay, this is good. When we spoke, we also talked about joy resilience. And is this in this vein of what we're talking about, kind of reclaiming afterwards? What language can we give for joy resilience so people understand these different components?
So if we go back to that baseline visual, resilience is it's bouncing back.
Okay.
So assuming that we have gotten below the baseline, whatever has taken us down there, how do you bounce back? How do you get back to the baseline? So there's a difference between joy resilience, which is really important because you've got to have some skills around being resilient so you can get yourself back. But you don't want to stop there. Yeah. And that's where growth comes in. Okay. And so at the point you get to the baseline, it's like, okay, now how do we grow? And there's a concept called post-traumatic growth. So how do we grow after traumatic situations? So not just bounce back, but grow.
Beyond.
Right. And then there is also a concept that I'm digging into called post-ecstatic growth, that our growth doesn't always come from trauma, that our growth actually can come from moments of experiencing ecstatic emotions.
That's what I want. I want that growth.
Can we have that? And I think that's what all Black women are looking for right now. We're
growth.
like, let's get this.
We don't want the strong soldier package.
Right.
No.
We are resting. And
well, this is good. So this is, what have you found about is it post-ecstatic
growth?
Okay, what have we found out about this?
So that's rooted in research around awe. And it's like, what does awe do for us? And how can we really focus in and zoom in on those moments? And one of my key strategies around joy is savoring. How do we savor moments? Gratitude is wonderful. Yeah. That is a different function, though. Yeah. Gratitude is, thank you for this food. Bless this food. Yeah. Savoring is, I'm gonna let this thing sit in my mouth for a second.
Like a full sensory thing.
I'm gonna feel all of this, and so it's a different function of joy, and I think that's where we start to lean into more of life. The design of our life,
or like mindfulness is even like right. Because I think about like just that example you gave, right? And I'm guilty of this. Busy entrepreneur, mom, wife, all of that, of being so quick, or eating on the go. I'm gonna get something when I'm in the car, right?
I did that on the way here.
So if you think about this, like with the example you just gave of like savoring your meal, it requires that you have to slow down.
It does.
Right?
It does.
It's really like being present in the moment, which I think we're sometimes on like automatic default.
Right.
We're not even realizing that's an opportunity sometimes to do that.
Well, and sometimes if you can't slow down in the moment, getting out of automatic default might be the way to do it. Yeah. Because as I'm driving here, I was eating my breakfast.
Listen.
But I
get it in where you can fit it in, right?
But I also savored it while driving. Yes. So I also took it in and I also acknowledged, this is good. Yeah. So I was able to sort of get out of that automatic default and be intentional and, like you said, mindful of the moments. And so take that from food and put it in your friendships and in your relationships. How do you savor those moments that you have with people and chew on them slowly?
That's good. That is so good though, because I think it's just about being almost like nudged with, hey, this is an opportunity here. Like this is an opportunity in this interaction with your child, with your loved one, with your food, with your pet, whatever the thing.
Exactly.
Just the awareness that is an opportunity, I think is like a light bulb.
It's funny you say pet because I'm a recent empty nester, which is crazy. I still don't understand.
You don't know what to do with yourself
I'm like,
yet?
What? Yeah, so my daughter just went off to college, and I was sitting there with the dog last night, and I actually had a conscious moment of, I'm so glad you're here.
Wow.
And just like embrace that moment of...
That's good.
That's
good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay, so someone might be listening. Okay, I get it. I understand the research. I get the terms. But how do I make this real for me? Like, how do I, in my life, implement? What would you say to someone who was like, I'm realizing I haven't been aware. I have been on automatic default, but you just enlightened something for me. What are some of the first things they can begin to do to create more space for this kind of intentional joy?
Yeah, I mean, there's So one of the things that I think stood out in my research the most was this level of guilt that people have in leaning into their joy. How can you be joyful right now? There's genocide happening.
Yeah.
That's just, how can you be joyful right now? I'm going through this. And so giving ourselves permission, first and foremost, to lean into that joy and to experience it. Because if we don't give ourselves permission, we are going to sort of be held back by the guilt of really expressing that. So that's huge. The other thing is connecting with somebody else, at least somebody else, who is like-minded and committed to the same thing. One of my colleagues, she's a coach, and she has one of my favorite ideas around connecting with people, which is to find a brag buddy. So somebody who you can say, I just had the best compliment from a student today. Or I just got this note, let me read it to you. Or I just got this voicemail. Because everybody doesn't receive your good news the same way. So I don't believe in the whole move in silence thing. I think that stifles your joy and it stifles potential joy that can be contagious to others. But I do believe you have to be careful about who you share what with. And you need to have somebody that you can intentionally, I need you to be my brag buddy. Can we be each other's brag buddy? And now we're safe to not just share trauma and challenges and I need to bounce this problem off of you, but now I'm safe to be excellent in your presence and there's no jealousy, there's no condescending behavior. I can just be all of who I am. So those are two really important pieces.
Because some of it is a boundaries exercise too. And what I'm also thinking is that it may require that you expand your circle.
Absolutely.
And that can be scary for people, right?
Yes.
If you only have people in your life that you can have a girl, you know what happened conversation, but you can't have the girl, guess what happened conversation.
Right.
Then you're saying that limits your capacity for joy.
It does.
Yeah, because you don't have the spaces. If you go back to your earlier comments around it's like joy begets joy, you don't have the spaces for the joy to grow.
Right.
Dang.
And, so you can start the process, but community is really where joy thrives and lives and grows. So that community doesn't have to be 20 people. It can start with one person. And that's one of the things that I try to do with my own work is how do I create communities of joy so that people can start to have those conversations and build upon joy with like-minded, others.
It's so funny. I randomly came across, you know how now with the Facebook pages, they're supposed to be pages that you accept. But you can see them publicly. So I don't know. So I randomly came across a Facebook page maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like Black girls who love luxury. And so I said, okay, let me just see what y'all talking about. And the whole thing is just Black women posting about their luxury experiences. And I mean, they have a real luxury experiences. From the cars they're buying to just sheets, high count sheets. But several people in the post as I'm scrolling through are saying, I'm so grateful for this group because I don't have another place that people won't be like, you doing too much or whatever because because I want to feel it on my skin. And so I'm like powerful that people are coming to, and it didn't even feel like just going through it. It didn't even feel like the pop my collar kind of group. It really felt like people like, oh girl, and did you get the red inside, red interior? And people were like, y'all the only people that know that I just splurged on this car for myself after working for 30 years. And so that's amazing to me that sometimes people do not have that in their own support system. So,
well, even when the support system isn't intentionally tearing them down, their response can be like, girl, you could have got those on sale at, and it's like, that's not the point.
You like, I wanted the full price.
I mean, that's not what, and so then they don't get it, and it just sort of diminishes. So that's, I need to find that group.
And it's like, look, I'm going to send it to you. And then it becomes like a never mind moment. Like, don't even worry about it.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah, don't even worry about it.
Yeah. So the other thing that, this is where the Epic Joy framework comes in. Epic is an acronym for eudaimonia. I know that's not a common word, but I said y'all gonna learn.
To break it down.
Y'all gonna learn eudaimonia. So that's eudaimonia. P is positioning people. I is integrating joy, and C is creating change. So the E for eudaimonia, that is basically in establishing well-being. So I have two E's on purpose because it was like, okay, we can say establishing well-being. Eudaimonia is a term that Aristotle used to sort of describe the ultimate or sort of a deep pursuit of well-being, but through altruistic practices.
Okay.
So I'm going to serve others. I'm going to do things that nurture the well-being of whatever it is I care about, the earth or this particular group of people.
My cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it is purpose-driven form of active well-being behavior.
Okay.
So when we are engaging in that kind of well-being, that's the part that's contagious. That's the part that helps to nurture other people's well-being. So when I say well-being is sort of the foundation for joy, this epic joy framework operationalizes that by saying, so let's practice the kind of well-being that nurtures and that serves and that's purpose-driven. So that's what that E is. The P is positioning people. So I talked about community. So this is the operationalizing of building community. So you're moving people in the positions. You might have to move somebody back. And I have a whole model visual for what that looks like. But you have your core, you have your circle, and you have your fragmented community. The fragmented community are the people that are not in alignment with you. And there are, dynamics of maybe maliciousness or jealousy or indifference that happens between you and that group.
People might need to move people.
You have to move people around. So those people are not necessarily, oh, my family's all my core. Not necessarily. Your family could be in that fragmented group. And you might have a coworker who's your core. So it's not by position or name of who that person is that determines where they should be placed. But you want to keep those people that are nurturing to your joy, that help build your joy in your core. Those are the people that are closest to you. The circle are people who are acquaintances and they support your work and they applaud what you do and you do the same for them, but you're not necessarily like best friends.
Is that your LinkedIn folks, your social media that you talk to, that kind of thing?
That's where we are now, but who knows, we might become each other's circle. You know what I mean? So, but that happens over time and with nurturing relationships and building trust. So you don't want to just throw anybody in your circle, but you definitely want to be conscious about how you position people. So that's the P. And then the I, integrating joy practices. So what is that for me? Jumping on a plane. You know what I did
Finding
recently?
your intentional happy place.
What is it for you? I bought a trampoline recently. And it's just a little one. And it's cute. It's got a cute color.
With the little handle on it.
It doesn't have a handle, but it's that size. It's little. And I was talking to ChatGPT and was like, hey, I need a workout plan. I got a new trampoline, and ChatGPT was like, oh, and that's perfect because you're a joy researcher, and so you get to practice your joy by jumping and exercising. Yes. I didn't make that connection, but I thought that is interesting. So what resonates with you as a joy practice? It could be walking, it could be meditating, but whatever. And somebody asked me once, but meditation that's not like bouncing up and down. I said, no, it doesn't have to be. It can be quiet practices of joy. And so practices of joy really have to resonate with who you authentically are. It can be service. And
I'm glad that you just gave that example, though, because when you go back to that definition of happiness versus joy, right? Happiness reactive, joy is from this inner well. What are the things that keep your inner well full, right? So it may be prayer, it may be meditation, it may be sitting in silence, it may be solo time. So it doesn't always have to be the wee
right. It doesn't have to be loud.
It
doesn't have to be everybody sees it. It's
what
just,
is refilling you.
What energizes you again.
That's good. I think is it
eudaimonia?
I think my eudaimonia is my Black woman leading community. I was in Chicago for business just 2 days ago. And so we have quite a bit of Chicago. Actually, Chicago is our biggest group of alums is in Chicago. And so we had just a meetup.
Nice.
And I mean, I'm just in there cheesing, just happy to be. They just feel like home, and how, people needed different resources. They were from different cohorts. Some of them just meeting each other. But I mean, because you're in the community, it's like, we family.
I love
that.
You
see, people who need a job, and people are like, I got a resource for you. People who are starting a business and they're just starting. Other people more established, I have a resource for you.
That's so great.
And I'm like, these are my people.
Yeah.
These
Well,
are
and
my
that
people.
becomes the catalyst for change. Change
Yeah.
is the C in Epic. So that's the last piece. And having that as your eudaimonia, it lends itself to change and to revolutionary, purposeful work.
I love it.
So yeah.
I love it. Okay, on this revolutionary point, when you talked about the situation in Portland, it made me just giggle. And you may have seen these. I've seen them mostly on Instagram, these memes, and it's like the whole world, and it's fire, and it's like black people doing a line dance.
Yes.
Yes. It's like, or people are like, black people don't take nothing seriously. We making a joke out of something tragic.
Right.
But you put some language around that, right? So can you just share a little bit more about this resistance joy? Because I think this is so powerful.
Yeah. So there's revolutionary joy, and then there's joy resistance,
joy resistance.
Well, and resilience. There's 3 R's. But the idea is, no matter what's going on in the world, justice wise, or social challenges we're seeing, we've throughout history have seen the ways that we have taken care of ourselves and celebrated together whatever we can celebrate.
Yeah, because something's always going on historically.
Always. And
right.
this isn't new to us.
Yep.
We honestly aren't necessarily learning new strategies. We're like, look, we've been training for this for 200 years.
This is Tuesday.
So, so that's one of the things that I love about us historically, as I look back and look at the ways in which we have demanded, and I'm just going to use the word demanded, I guess, joy in no matter what circumstances, and even the way that it's been used in a revolutionary manner. We're gonna sing, but our singing, that's joyful, but our singing is a roadmap to freedom, and we're gonna be really intentional about that. This whole Black women rest. We're gonna rest, and there's some joy in that, but we're also strategizing, and we just know how. And I didn't say that out loud, y'all don't know that, but we
they know, because they coming to us for the strategy every time.
Right, because they're asking, where are y'all?
Exactly.
We need y'all, and it's like, we got,
over
we
here,
good,
over here,
right. And so we have figured out how to weave in joy and peace and rest, through the struggle. A revolution is something that we are fighting for change, and often I think those revolutions, every revolution I've looked at, it is people fighting to either reclaim a joy that they once had and want back and that they remember, or to get a joy that they know they have a right to.
And they've been denied access
and they've been denied it. So revolutions are created because people are seeking, demanding, working on getting their joy.
Man.
And so
that's a perspective, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we don't connect revolution to joy, but if you think of many things historically, I don't care what country you're looking for, it's for people's humanity that they are fighting for, which is joy. The ability to have joy and to have not only the basic needs, but to thrive. To flourish.
Because we're not fighting for baseline.
No.
I mean, sure, we want to get there, but that's not, we really
want the
to
abundance
rise.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good. Okay, I could talk about this all day. I could geek out on this all day. Okay, I do want to ask you a few of our season theme questions. But before we transition to that, any kind of final points you want to make on this activating joy, or words of wisdom to someone listening? Is like, this is really this is really empowering them to activate joy more in their life. Any kind of final words you would say on that?
Well, one thing that I've observed is that joy is under attack, like directly under attack. I've been watching social media videos where there was actually a Black Joy event happening in Florida, and a woman shows up with a microphone and says, so what do you think when I say the words Donald Trump? And she's trying to stir things up. And so she's asking questions like that. Do you think whatever she said, but it wasn't they weren't intellectual questions. They weren't questions that were meant to
get a
bring people
rise,
together.
yeah.
It was exactly that. And she wanted people to respond with violence to her. Somebody reported her and they asked her to leave. And so that was her opportunity to say, oh, so are you saying that I'm not allowed to be at this?
Of course.
So joy under attack. People showing up to HBCUs
Oh my
to
God.
agitate students
God.
and create, divisive conversations.
Yeah.
And the way the students have been responding is just amazing. Again, we're like, nope, we're going to lean into our joy.
Yeah.
We're not going there. But joy is under attack.
Yeah.
And so I want us to be abundantly aware that that's what's going on, because the warfare and fighting back against this attack on joy is not stooping to their level, is not engaging in a type of perceived joy where it's like, we're going to be victorious, or we're going to stomp on you or put you down in order to elevate ourselves. And so I've been really impressed with sort of the level of dignity that we've managed to display in the face of a lot of this ugliness. So I think that having this level of intention, this level of self-awareness in order to activate our joy as a means for resistance is going to be so critical right now in this era.
And so I think about that as individual people, then we really have to be vigilant.
Absolutely.
To make the space, do the thing, deal with the guilt around it so that you can enjoy it. It's your birthright. You can, I mean, and often it's, if you just think about, I think about my living ancestors, not even way back. I think about my mother. I think about my aunts and my uncles, like the being able to jump on the plane. Right?
Yeah.
She didn't have that. She did not have it.
Right.
Right. And so just to.
Still don't. They still.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So just to have the privilege, to have the access to tap into joy in that way. I mean, we can't squander that. We really can't squander that.
I don't want to misconstrue this, perception of joy to say, we need to be quiet and just
happy, just be quiet and happy. No,
and honestly, I think there are ways to exude joy that aren't necessarily falling into peaceful. It can be I'm going to raise hell. I'm going to raise my voice. I'm going to flip tables. And I'm still going to experience joy. So I don't want this to be perceived as, I guess the word I'm saying is passive. Because in no way is it passive.
No, that's good. Oh, good. Okay, I want to ask you at least one of our core questions. Of course, our season 8 theme is leaning into joy. And outside of course, hearing the expertise of our illustrious guests, also just want to tap into your humanity, right? And so you have a really full life. Okay, researcher, a business owner, coaching, teaching, and you're a professional football player?
I am.
Give me just two quick seconds on that. And then I would love to hear too, how are you managing your time? Because I think there are people who have the attitude and the mindset of wanting to have these more intentional practices of joy. But they're struggling with the space to create it, right? So tell us about the football real quick.
Okay.
And then tell us how you fit in all this stuff.
How make it happen. Well, the football was, I have a classmate who started the Women's National Football Conference, WNFC. And she and I got reconnected and we started exchanging speaking engagements. Will you come speak for my event? I'll come speak for yours. And so we started collaborating. And then one day on her website, it said, football tryouts. I was like, what? I know. And I'm 48 now, so I was 47 at the time, and I was like, why not? Because my athletic career got paused in college, and I did not get to finish. So it was kind of one of those unfinished dreams.
Wow.
So I went ahead, and crazy as I was, because I wasn't, doing any intense training. I was just running every day. The knees, I'm just, oh Lord. So I went out and I tried out, and lo and behold, I got that call that I made the team.
That is crazy.
And let me tell you, when I got the call, I jumped up in the air and pulled my dang hamstring. But you didn't reconsider. No, I stuck with it, and I finished the season last year. And we have tryouts coming up, and I'm gonna jump right back in.
Wow.
And so it's
courageous,
tackle,
girl.
it's full contact tackle, wear the helmet. Football.
Oh, courageous girl.
If not now, when?
If not now, when?
Yeah.
I love it. Let me ask you this final question, and just thinking about your personal experience. Has your definition, we know you know as a researcher, but as you think about like your life and your real lived experience, has your definition of joy shifted over time, or the things that equate to joy for you? How has that shifted over time?
It's just non-negotiable, and it's sort of the measure that I use to determine, is this a healthy workplace? Is this a healthy relationship? Is this a healthy friendship? And this is kind of folding in the other question about time and how I make that work. That's determined by joy, because I make time to show up to meetings I don't want to be at. So I can put that same energy, but with a joy spin, into making time to do things like play football. So if I'm going to have time to do things for other people, I need to have time to nurture my own joy. So it's either, I'm going to exercise on the football field or I'm going to exercise at the gym. I'm going to get it in either way. So the definition of joy for me, I guess what I've added to it in my own life is that it's non-negotiable for my well-being. If I want to have a long life, and not just long, but healthy, then I have to be able to integrate joy, put that into my body as much as possible.
So joy has become a boundary.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I love it. That's good stuff.
Yes.
This has been so good. Thank you for coming and sharing your insights. How can people, connect with you? And you got anything cool going on that people should know about?
Yes, I do have an Epic Joy retreat. I do that twice a year. So November and July. And that's in Costa Rica.
Coming up.
So definitely check that out. My website, drpamelalarde.com, has all of my resources, my research models, my coaching services, articles, but the retreat, and there's also an Epic Joy course that people can take. So all the things are right there. People can also reach me. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Dr. Pamela Larde. And I think the social media outside of that are like the best is Instagram. And so I'm Joy Researcher on Instagram. I'm figuring out TikTok, but I'm on there. I do things, but I haven't gone viral yet.
Me neither. Okay, cool. We'll also put all of those links in the show notes.
Okay. Sure.
Awesome. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed and been empowered and taken something away from this today. I really enjoyed this discussion. If you want to connect with us at Black Woman Leading, we are at Black Woman Leading on all platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're really trying to push our YouTube, so check out our YouTube and subscribe there. If you want to connect with me personally, I'm at Laura E. Knights. I'm most active on LinkedIn and Instagram. And then finally, if you want to learn about our corporate work that we have, where we work inside of organizations, helping them to build their leaders and build their teams, you can learn about all of that at knightsconsultinggroup.com. We would love to connect with you in any of these ways. And until next time, be well.
Woman, lead.